I hopped inside women clothing section. It was the end of month and I planned to spend my monthly savings on grooming myself, buying some beautiful dresses, eating a lot of food and getting wasted at night watching John Jungkook's live. My eyes shone with excitement as I saw the new collection of my favorite clothing brand. I wasted no time in running there and going through the vibrant women attires. This one and this one, that's it. I picked out 5 best outfits. All the dresses were gorgeous, but I didn't wanna go broke by the end of the day. Excuse me, can you tell me where the fitting room is? I want to try these on. I asked from one of the staff members. She politely smiled and escorted me to the trial room. I thanked her and went inside. I was quick to strip out of the denim set that I was wearing and put on the first outfit that I picked. It was a yellow dress that reached below my knees. It was simple yet elegant dress which fitted me perfectly as it was specially made for me. I am definitely keeping this one. I chirped and pulled out my cell phone. Clicking some mirror selfies, I took off the dress and kept it aside. This one now. I grabbed a black dress. As I was about to put it on, someone passed inside the room. I gaped at the handsome intruder with wide eyes. He mirrored my expressions, gawking at me from head to toe. That's when I realized my state. I was standing half naked with only my inner vest in front of an unknown man. I opened my mouth to scream, but as if he divined my move, he strode towards me with long steps and pressed his hand on my mouth, muffling my scream. Hey, shush, don't shout. I'm not what you are thinking. As angelic as he looks, his voice was equally melodious. My ears were blessed hearing his honey dripping voice. I glared at him and bit on his hand that was covering my mouth. He winced in pain and removed his hand. What the heck do you think you are doing inside a woman's fitting room? I hissed at him with anger as I threw pointed daggers at him through my eyes. A girl is following me everywhere and I came inside to hide from her. But I didn't do it intentionally, I swear. The door was unlocked so I thought nobody's inside. He explained himself. I cursed myself for my carelessness. I think you should wear something. He cleared his throat looking away from me. My pupils dilated as the reality hit him. I was still half naked. I pushed him away and he turned his back towards me. You can change. I swear I won't look, he said. My cheeks turned red in embarrassment and I hastily wore my clothes. Why is that girl following you? Is she a stalker or something? I asked as soon as I was done fixing my clothes. He turned towards me. His dark brown eyes met mine, and my heart skipped a beat as I keenly looked at his face. He was cute and hot at the same time, a deadly creation of Almighty. She's another fangirl of mine and keeps following me everywhere. I know I'm hard to resist, but I just can't go around dating every other girl. I'm not a player. He shrugged his shoulder. Cocky much. I rolled my eyes at his remark. He was undoubtedly handsome, but a self obsessed man. So, it's your hobby to walk in on women changing their clothes. I narrowed my eyes at him, now doubting him. Hey, don't give me that look. I'm telling the truth. If you don't believe me, go outside and find out yourself. I stared at him with unwavering suspicion in my eyes, but he didn't budge from his statement, gaining a tiny bit of my trust. Fine, I'm going to check, and if I find out that you are lying, I'll sue you, Mr. Whatever. I pointed my index finger at his face while he freaking rolled his eyes at me. Jimin, Park Jimin, he extended his hand for a handshake, which of course I royally ignored, and walked outside, not forgetting to bump my shoulder with his. I saw a girl wearing a short dress, maybe from kids section, roaming around. I saw her walking towards me, but She stopped in front of a staff member. I moved a little closer to eavesdrop on their conversation. Hey, didn't you see a man here? He was wearing black leather jacket and leather pants, blonde hair. The description was same as that pervert guy. I watched as the worker denied and she went away, murmuring profanities under her breath. Hey, she is gone. You can go now. I spoke as soon as I came inside. His lips twisted into smirk as he looked at me through his beautiful brown eyes, leaning against the wall with his hands crossed against his chest. Do you trust me now? He raised his eyebrows. Just go away before I call someone inside and complain about you. You don't want to get beaten by people, do you? He chuckled with amusement. I'm leaving, beautiful, but make sure to lock the door from next time. Everybody is not a gentleman like me. Here comes his cockiness. You wish. I couldn't stop myself from scoffing. He stuffed his hands inside his pants pocket and stepped towards me while I stepped back instinctively. He towered over my small frame, making me feel more small under his intense stare. You are so my type. I'm leaving now, but I hope we meet again soon, he whispered while his eyes roamed all over my face. I stood frozen on my spot, tongue-tied. I blinked my eyes and stood upright when he stepped back from me and walked towards the door. I observed him holding the doorknob and tilted his head towards me. By the way, pink suits you. He smirked and left. A confused frown formed between my forehead. I looked down at my attire. I was wearing a denim set. Pink. I flushed profoundly, realizing that I was wearing pink innerwears. Pervert. I groaned, but I couldn't help a smile to break out on my lips. It was an amazing, unexpected encounter with a handsome stranger. Girl, I wish we get a young and dashing boss. I'm tired of that old lady ordering us around. Miss Sana, stop chit chatting and get back to your work. Like, bro, we aren't students and this is not a school. Stop behaving like a strict teacher. My colleague imitated our would be ex boss and I burst into laughter. Come on, Sana. She only looks tough, but she is actually a sweet lady. Of course, you will take her side because you are her favorite, and she doesn't lash out on you like she does on me. I am her least favorite. It's not like that, Sana. Anyways, she is leaving today. Let's give her a good farewell, yeah? She sighed and nodded. Miss Sana, stop chit chatting and get back to work. I pressed my lips to stifle my laughter while Sana rolled her eyes. Mrs. Han, we were planning for your favorite party. She passed the fakest smile to her. I appreciate your efforts, but there is no need for that. I'm leaving today. Sana jumped in excitement. That means we are going to have 4 days off. She did her happy dance, earning fits of laughter from the fellow employees. But ma'am, you were supposed to leave after 2 days, right? I asked a middle-aged woman in front of me, ignoring the glare Sana threw in my direction. Yes, dear, but your new boss came back from London 2 days ago and he asked if he could join from today. That's why I'm leaving early, she explained. What? No, I flinched when she shouted beside me. She walked towards Mrs. Han and stood in front of her. You can do this to me. You were supposed to leave 2 days later, and the new boss would be coming next week. I was supposed to get 2 days leave. I made so many plans. Tell the new boss or she can't join from today. She argued while the whole office enjoyed the drama which happens almost daily. Miss Sana, watch your tone. You are talking to your boss. Mom, she whined, crossed down, and held her legs. Sana, what are you doing? Behave. She tried to free herself from her grip, but she tightened it more. Mom, don't go. Don't ruin your daughter's happiness. She fake cried. Get up, or else you are not getting dinner tonight. She was quick to stand up. She was about to say something, but a thick silence spread in air, and the sound of someone's footsteps echoed through the hallway. Everyone's eyes were fixated in the direction of voice. You are here? I looked at Mrs. Han, who smiled at someone. I looked towards that someone whose back was facing towards me. He was a tall, muscular man clad in burgundy suit. I squinted my eyes and tried to look at his face. Everyone, meet your new boss, Park Jamin. No, this can't be. Park Jamin, that pervert. My breath hissed when my eyes met with his dark brown eyes. I could tell he was equally surprised as me. I watched a smirk forming on his face. Mrs. Han escorted him in my direction. Jimin, this is Wyan, my secretary, now yours. She smiled at me, which I reciprocated. Nice to meet you, Miss Wyan. He extended his hand for a handshake. The never-ending smirk was irritating. Likewise, Mr. Park. I bowed at him. He raised his eyebrows, giving me an amused look as he retorted his hand back. Come, Jimin, let me show you around. He nodded and looked at me. We met again, he mouthed and went away with Mrs. Han. Why him? She whined, coming towards me. The scowl on her face was clearly visible. What happened? Why does my mom have to appoint him as our new boss? He's my annoying cousin. Why is she so hell-bent in making my life miserable? She fake cried, hugging me sideways. I patted her head. Vine was working in her cabin when the telephone placed on her table rang. Yes, she held the phone near her ear. Miss Vine, come to my cabin. Okay, sir. She replied, put the telephone down, and made her way towards his cabin. Yes, Mr. Park. She spoke as soon as she entered inside his cabin. Hi, Pinky. He grinned and waved his hand. My name is Ryan. She stressed on her name. I know, but I like Pinky more, and I'll call you that. He smiled cheekily. Why did you call me here? Alright, bring me the files of the new project. It's in the drawer beside your table. He opened the drawer and took out the files. Anything else, Mr. Park? Thanks, Miss Pinky. Stop calling me that. She made an annoyed face and stormed away from there, stomping her feet. Miss Pinky, he chuckled and leaned back on his chair. Few days later, I had a 2 hours breakdown after the male lead died. It was an emotional drama. She blabbered about the drama that she watched all night, which Wine paid no heed except nodding her head every now and then. Hello, ladies. Wine rolled her eyes when he appeared out of nowhere while Sana made a face at him. What do you want? Show me some respect, Sana. I'm your boss. Mr. Park, can you please do the honors of letting us know what you want at this hour when everyone is enjoying their lunchtime in canteen? She bowed multiple times, giving him respect. Ignoring his dramatic cousin, he turned to Wine. Pinky, can you buy me something to eat? I'm starving. He pouted, acting like a child. Wine sighed and nodded because she knew nothing can stop him from calling her Pinky. She left from there, leaving Jimin and Sana glaring at each other. We were in the middle of important conversation. I don't care, and I advised you to stay away from her. Why? Are you jealous? Whatever, stay away from my woman, otherwise. He pointed his finger at her. Otherwise, what? What will you do? I'll stick to her like a leech. She squinted her eyes at him. I'll tell aunt that you were the one who broke her favorite vase yesterday. He smoked. Go on, Tell her, and I'll tell Vine that you like her and you secretly clicked her pics. I saw your phone gallery full of her pictures. His smoke dropped. You won't. Watch me. What do you want to keep your mouth shut? He greeted out. Now we are talking. Nothing much. Grant me leave for 1 week and pay for my vacation expenses. You can do this much. She grinned like crazy. He pulled out his wallet, glaring at her, and smashed his card in her hand. She squealed excitedly. Now keep your stinky mouth shut. You too. She sarcastically smiled at him and fled away from there. Mr. Park, your lunch. She tailed off when she saw a girl hugging Jimin while he was trying his best to push her away. As she looked at her closely, she found out that the girl was the same Stoker girl. She looked at Jimin, who was looking uncomfortable, but that girl wasn't ready to leave him. His eyes met hers. Baby, he sang, looking at Vine. That distracted the girl as she loosened his grip on him. He gently pushed her aside and walked towards Vine with open arms. The food packet fell from her hands as she threw himself in her arms. I missed you. He intensely spoke loudly and nuzzled his face in the crook of her neck. Vine was too shocked to react about anything. Her heart was beating at a wild pace. It would be a lie if she said that the close proximity and smelly scent didn't affect her. It made her feel butterflies in the stomach. After all, the man next to her held her mind captivated from the first sight itself. Just play along. Her trance of thoughts broke by his whispering. What will I get in return? She took her chance. Anything, he replied instantly without hesitation. Are you sure? What if you back off later on? I won't. He tightened his grip on her, enjoying every bit of keeping her close. Babe, I brought you lunch. She peeked at the girl who was silently watching their PDA. He backed off from the hug and smiled warmly, which was too real to be disguised as in part of act. He took a hold of Vine's wrist and turned towards the girl who was at the verge of tears. I loved you, Jimin. I'm sorry, Carrie, but I don't feel the same. I love my girlfriend, my Pinky. He said this while looking at Vine, and her heart skipped a beat at his confession. It all felt real. There are a lot of better guys than me out there. You'll definitely find the right one for yourself. Yeah, right. I think I try to hit on my college crush. Maybe he'll agree to date me. She stormed out like a bullet train, leaving them dumbfounded. What just happened? I thought she was going to bawl her eyes out or something, but she shook her head in disbelief. She moved on quite fast. He murmured and she burst out laughing, making him laugh too. They slowly stopped laughing as their eyes met. They stared at each other, their eyes reflecting the unsaid emotion. Food is getting cold, she uttered and averted her eyes away from his intense gaze. Yeah, he cleared his throat and scratched the back of his head. I sat in my cabin trying to focus on my work, but my mind was preoccupied with my boss thoughts. I tried up team times to not think about him, but I couldn't help it. He was the epicenter of my thoughts ever since that incident in his office. It's been 2 months since he joined the office, and I felt myself developing feelings for him. I didn't know how, why, and when. It just happened without me knowing. Whenever he passed a flirty remark or called me Pinky, it fluttered my heart in a wild way. I'm going crazy. I held my head as I realized that it was almost the time of lunch and I hadn't completed a single file yet. All of a sudden, I felt a sharp pain in my lower abdomen. A painful whimper escaped from my lips as my hands reached out to clutch my stomach. Not now. I whined as I realized that I got my periods. I'm missed a lot of pending work. I knew I was going to have a hard time dealing with bone breaking cramps. Grabbing my tote bag, I made my way to the attached bathroom. I came out and slumped down on my chair. I was already feeling drained out of energy. I want to go home, I whispered to myself, rubbing my abdomen, which felt as if it was ripping apart. The loud ringing of telephone grabbed my attention. I held it near my ear, ready to burst out on whoever dared to interrupt when I was literally dealing with the most painful cramps. What the do you want? I snapped. Whoa, calm down, Pinky. I relaxed immediately, hearing his angelic voice. I'm sorry, Mr. Park. It's just. No worries, Pinky. Can you bring the file for tomorrow's meeting? He politely asked, and I melted then and there. Yeah, I hung up the call and searched for the file. As I found it, I pushed myself off the chair and dragged my feet to his cabin. Here, Mr. Park, I forwarded the file to him. He took it, warmly smiling at me. He shifted his attention back to the file as his eyes keenly observed each and everything. The meeting was important and no mistakes were allowed. I pressed my lips to endure the ache in my pelvis region. I shifted my weight from one leg to another as it was really of a big task to even stand straight. I let go of a loud yelp as I felt a sharp cramp. My face twisted in pain and I bent down, clutching my stomach. Jimin, who seemed to notice my state of discomfort, rushed towards me. Are you okay, Pinky? He softly asked as he held me by my shoulders. A worried frown took over his features. It hurts, I whimpered and my eyes welled up due to pain. Where does it hurt? He probed further. My stomach, I managed to voice out. He crouched down and picked me up in bridal style and made me lie down on the couch. Period cramps? He asked as he kneeled down beside me. I nodded slightly. Did you take medicine? No. He pulled out his phone and called Sana while he stroked my head with his other hand. Sana is bringing painkiller for you. Not long after, the door swung open and Sana burst inside. Wine, are you okay? She asked as she stepped towards me, but Jimin blocked her midway. Give me the medicine. No, I'll take care of her. Move aside. She tried to push him, but he didn't budge. I'll take care of her. You are not needed here. He retorted, and there started a war between them. I was already in pain, and their commotion was like adding fuel to fire. Shut up! I yelled in frustration. They both flinched and looked at me. I'm leaving from here. Keep fighting like dogs. I tried to sit up, but Jimin gently pushed me back by my shoulders. Rest here, Pinky. Here, have this painkiller. He put a tablet on my hand and forwarded a glass of water. I took the medicine and lay back on the couch. Go away, witch. Let her rest. I sighed when he glared at Sana, who glared back at him. I'm going because of wine, otherwise I would have shown you real hell, jerk. She spat some more curses at him before leaving from there. You'll feel better after some time. He smiled at me and kissed my head. In no time, I drifted to my dreamland. I woke up with a feathery touch on my cheeks. I opened my eyes to find Jimin stroking my cheeks with a gentle smile on his lips. Feeling better? He asked and I nodded, feeling much better than before. What time is it? I sat straight, rubbing my drowsy eyes. 9 o'clock. What? I gaped at him with wide eyes. Don't tell me I slept through the whole evening. We have a project to complete and tomorrow's meeting. Oh my gosh. I panicked as I recalled the amount of work waited for my attention. Relax, Pinky. I'll handle everything. Don't freak out. It's fine. He tried to pacify my anxious self and it did work. I calmed down. Let's go, I'll drop you home. He rose to his height, extended his hand towards me. A smile broke out on my face as I placed my hand on his and walked out with him. Thank you. She smiled at him after getting out from the car. Go inside. She smiled and nodded. She walked toward the front door of her house, turned back, and waved at him. He waited until she disappeared through the door and drove away. Wine came in the living room after taking a shower. As she had slept whole day, she planned to watch a movie. She was selecting a movie when the doorbell echoed through the living room, breaking the serene silence of night. Who could come at this hour? She frowned, but nevertheless went towards the front door and opened it. What are you doing here? She asked the intruder, who was none other than Jimin, now in his casuals. How careless you are! You opened the door without checking who was outside. He scolded, walking inside as if he owned the house. Wow, are you planning to watch movies? I'm in. He blabbered, taking a seat on the couch and stuffed a handful of popcorn in his mouth. What are you doing here, Mr. Park? He raised her eyebrows and crossed her arms on her chest. I was worried about you. I thought, what if you again get sick? You need someone to take care of you. So here I am. By the way, I brought these for you, Pinky. He pulled out chocolates from his pocket and kept those on the tea table. His little gesture was enough to flutter her heart. Come here. He patted the space beside him. My friends say I gave a good company. Let me accompany you tonight. He added and grinned like a child. Wine chuckled and sat beside him while he quickly selected a movie. Half an hour into the movie, Wine felt an arm wrap around her shoulder. She tilted her head and squinted her eyes at Jamin, who smiled sheepishly. I know you want to cuddle, but shy to ask. He covered up his antics with a vague excuse. I didn't know you can read people's mind. I don't know about people, but I can surely read your mind. He whispered with a playful smile on his face. Are you trying to impress me? Is it working? He tilted his head, pinning her under his intense gaze. Yayan stared at him for a few moments before averted her eyes away from him to hide her flushed face. Pinky, do you have a boyfriend? He asked after a few minutes of silence. Wine gaped at him as if he had grown two horns. Really? You are in my house, on my couch, cuddling with me and asking me if I have a boyfriend? Are you in your sane mind? She said, rolling her eyes. Ignoring her taunt, he put his head on her shoulder. Do you mind having me as your boyfriend? Are you asking me out? If you agree, then yes. And what if I don't? Then I'll say I was just kidding. She laughed. Her hands reached out to ruffle his smooth, silky hair. I love you, Pinky, he confessed, holding her hand and kissed the back of it. I guess I too love you. He giggled and squeezed her in his arms. His cuteness erupted in fits of laughter for Ryan. I'm so happy. I never thought we'll be like this when I first met you. Maybe it was written in our fate. Maybe, but it turned out to be the best unexpected encounter.